Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Hector Montalvo. This show is dedicated to asking tough questions for you, the viewers. We bring you their responses, and we let you decide. Joining us here today at our MCTV studios, we're honored to be sitting with Mr. Jim Langs. Mr. Lang, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Hector.
Wanted to discuss, we're aware that some police departments receive grants or apply for grants, but there's a particular grant that I wanted to discuss today. It's a grant of police officers attending domestic violence programs. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm aware that you have requested multiple meetings with state police agencies, police departments, in regards to the training. What have you found out, or what have you discovered in the process?
Last year, Hector, in my men's rights group that I attend over in Franklin, Massachusetts, it came up that maybe it would be something to reach out to a police department and actually find out what is going on, what has been going on with the police and their training that they receive from taxpayer dollars. I thought it was a good idea. I said, well, why don't I start with my own hometown, which I did in North Attleboro. I called up the chief. He fielded a call and actually got back to me personally, and then passed it off to 3 different policemen. Finally, we did establish a meeting. We had a meeting. When we walked in, it was something that, oh, you're having a meeting today. The meeting, instead of being with the chief or a lieutenant, it was a patrolman who provided really over-the-top. I thought it was great. It was very informative. And just off the cuff, in a passing remark, he brought up the fact that, you know, it's a gender-biased educational process that you go through at the academy. And of course, he was treading on thin ground and he didn't expound on it. He just made the comment that, you know, it is pretty much that way. So it predicated me to investigate a little further. And I contacted a Dan Zivkonich, who's the director of the Police Academy training up in Randolph, Mass. He was kind enough to sit down with me. I also had contacted another individual within the state of Massachusetts who's actually at the forefront of domestic violence and trying to uncover some solutions for the problem, including the 209A restraining orders that we face here in the state of Massachusetts. Richard was able to come with me at that meeting that I had with Dan. I sat down with Dan for an hour. He also allowed me to sit down to talk with his assistant for an hour. And of course, both of them assured me that the police training in the state of Massachusetts no longer included gender biased. It wasn't a he-she type of training. It was a victim perpetrator was implemented in the language. I asked that I be allowed to sit in maybe on one of these classes, which is about the time that Dan had to go and to another commitment, and it was about the time that his in the next meeting that we had with his assistant. That was when I asked that question. That was about the time that she had another commitment. So I don't know whether the implementation has been effectuated yet or not, but I was assured that through a laborious committee process that no longer does the state of Massachusetts conduct their domestic violence training based on a he-she scenario, and it's all on the perpetrator victim. And It was an interesting meeting coming out of it. Richard said that it was about as much that he has had, that he has been given time with anyone in the authority at the Police Training Academy, that, you know, he felt pretty good about it. I haven't heard anything since. I haven't heard anything from my own police department. Haven't heard anything from, certainly not the state police department. You know, I did contact the Governor's Council on safety, and of course, you know, if you've got the time, you can get to one of their meetings, and you know, they'll be happy to let you sit on one as a public taxpayer. But again, what my focus, Hector, was, what my thinking was, that I personally have gone through this horrendous set of circumstances that all too many families and men and women in our Commonwealth face. And I too often have heard from attorneys to judges to police to alleged, you know, individuals that are out there to help the common person. Oh, we don't hear any fathers ever standing up, ever trying to come and help. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I have never gotten so much as a phone call, other than if I tried to set up a meeting, I got a call back, like I said, from the chief, who passed it on to three other individuals. And then the day that the meeting was to take place, we all, you know, 8 of us got to the police station. It was like, oh, you having a meeting? Oh, who's supposed to? Who are you meeting with? So, you know, you've got a problem. We've got a situation here, and everybody is looking, you know, and well, it's not me. It's not me. And you have men, predominantly men in the state of Massachusetts, who, as taxpayers, are asked to get out of their homes.
Surrender their firearm permits and guns if they have it as well.
I mean, you know, the issues are multiple, but you know, for the scope of this talk, it's kind of disparaging when you're being asked to go out, earn a living, support your children, then get out of your home and foot the bill and pay another profession to straighten out your problems that you can't understand have been created by a bureaucracy that's funded by other taxpayers so that other people can maintain a living for themselves. And all you were trying to do was, you know, provide for your family. The intrusion of government into our families, it's horrendous, and they predicate it on some of these issues that I don't necessarily think should be funded the way they are being funded. As far as the policemen, any of the policemen that I've ever talked to, they'll tell you that their hands are tied. They are only doing their job, which they are, because the laws do, you know, if they've got to show up at a home and there's a domestic violence issue, they're required by law to make an arrest. They have to make a decision. If they're being trained he versus she in the language of the training programs that they're going through, and then the scenarios that they're given in that training show that it's always the men that are at fault, well, then I think that you have a clear case of bias. You have a clear indication that the money is being funneled to show that men are the violent ones, and you can see how this is trickled down. Back in January, you had the head of the Senate make a comment on the floor of the Senate down in Washington that he knows, everybody knows, that unemployed men are violent. And this is what we're faced with. So it's not just here in the state of Massachusetts, it's kind of countrywide. We're beating ourselves up.
Yeah, we are. And this particular grant that most police officers get, I know that the Methuen Police Department just got a grant for overtime for 2 officers to attend these particular meetings. But what I find interesting is that the state and the Commonwealth did not sponsor this. This is not a program issued by the state. This was sponsored by the Doe Foundation.
I know a bit about Jane Doe. I know that they have a director that gets paid well in excess of $120,000 a year. I believe that there are no less than 4 administrators within the organization that are paid in excess of $100,000. I don't know how you could come up with, justifying that as an income. However, they've done it. We have very little oversight, not just in the state of Massachusetts, but also in Washington. It just happens to be the case. You can see that in the general oversight that took place in Arlington Cemetery not months ago. So you have this, and you have people that actually get themselves involved and become involved, and they do make an income for themselves. I don't know whether that's so wrong or not. It is America, after all. They are allowed to do that. But the issue the problem that I see in that is that they've got their agenda. They're telling everybody that this is why it's happening, and I'm not so sure that what they're telling you is the actual truth, as much as it is an effort to maintain and sustain their level of income.
Now, domestic violence usually has physical evidence behind it, correct?
Domestic violence is a pretty broad subject, and there are think tanks all over the country, and as I mentioned, the ex-police officer from Brockton, and he lives now in Plymouth, he's studied this extensively. There are books, there's no less than 30 qualitative books out there that show this, and the state of Massachusetts has all kinds of statistics on domestic violence. Being as broad an issue as it is, what are they actually doing about it? Who are they including within their discovery and within their solution process? And of what I've discovered, Hector, it is bureaucrats. It's people that are making a living at it. It's people that are, maybe they had an incident in their life and it caused them to become involved, which, they're the best kind of people to have included. But of all the ones that I've seen that I've discovered, they're all women. If they're not women, they're guys that, I don't know if they're married to guys, but they're I don't know that they have children that they're trying to raise. I see some politicians out there who are also plugged into this committee on Beacon Hill, and this committee on Beacon Hill, and this committee on Beacon Hill. When it comes to domestic violence, it's an issue that is ripping our society apart. And I don't believe that the state of Massachusetts should be the state that the rest of the country is looking at for solutions in their country. And this is what I see they are doing, unfortunately.
Now, we've had attorneys on our show, on different shows that we've had in regards to these particular topics that affect individuals. And they have stated that they find that these restraining orders are actually issued ex parte, with one party going in making an accusation. And they claim that that could be unconstitutional.
I forget who it was on the Joint Judiciary Committee on Beacon Hill back in September when the shared parenting bill was being talked about on September 17th. But she said that restraining orders are handed out like candy here in the state of Massachusetts. The legal profession needs to take it upon themselves, like we like to believe that doctors should take it upon themselves, or policemen should take it upon themselves to police their own profession. It's horrendous that the legal profession, who is still regarded as, you know, the ethical, not so much standard, but they're supposedly held to a higher ethical standard than most of us. When we're in trouble, who do we go to? We go to the legal profession. And to think that they are disregarding the dissolution of the family as it is being conducted in this state, it's very sad. It's very sad to witness it. You have people that go in because of whether it's one emotional problem that they have, or, you know, one particular set of circumstances in their life that have gotten them angered. They go in and they spew all kinds of false accusations, and the judge begins the process, the legal process that will ensure the money train from Washington stays on track to dissolve yet another family in the state. When I was up at the meeting with the director of the police academy, and went down to his, he had given me, well, this is what all domestic violence individuals get from the police department. And I looked at it and I thumbed through it, and I looked, and they had every single organization you could possibly think of, from the gay and lesbians, from the transgender communities, you name it. And then I said to her, well, where is there a place that men can call, that a man who has children, who's been told to leave his home, who's been asked to get out of his residence without any notice, who can he call? He's the one that's he's the one that's paying the taxes. He's the one that's keeping you in your job, you officer in your job, you judge in your job, you attorney in your job. Who does he call? You don't have one number here, you don't have one website, you don't have one individual that a man can call. That specifically, you have 14 other places that a woman can call, you have 14 other shelters that a woman can call, but you don't have one single thing.
Now, I know that with Massachusetts issuing between 20 and 50,000 restraining orders a year, some people say that half of those orders are obtained fraudulently, false accusations, or to get an advantage in custody.
Again, it's the profession that needs to police itself. They're not. They see it as they've gone to law school. They've gotten out. They've got a family for themselves. They've got their niche, and I just don't see it happening in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's getting really bad out there. Now, under the grant, and under the sponsorship of the Doe Foundation, are they basically encouraging, because the grant reads out that this is a grant to encourage and enforce protection orders. So are they basically, the police department now be required to do what Doe Foundation want them to do?
Hector, that's been going on for 15 years since Jane Doe has come into existence. It's the process of one organization gaining a foothold and incorporating in that organization enough people that know how to work within the government system to create an entity for themselves. Now, I can't say that they don't do a lot of good work, so I honestly believe that they do a lot of good work. What I don't believe that they do is they don't see the broader picture of some of the destruction that is actually taking place. You have, statistics. The latest ones that I could find was of March of this year that go back to 2008 and 2009. You have a dissolution of half of the marriages that are created in this state. If that isn't an issue, if that isn't something that we can talk of, just like jobs, I'm not sure that people are really going to get it or understand what they are leaving for the generation and the next generation and the next generation. I happen to believe that marriage is a good thing. I happen to believe that a society should do all that we can to keep our marriages together. And I don't see that with the Jane Doe Company, or I don't see it with the police departments, and I don't see it within our courts. And
maybe
I don't know what the answer is, but I sure know that I haven't been asked to sit down, and I know that a lot of people that I know that are involved with some of the men's rights groups have never been asked. They're looked at as angry men, and it's unfortunate.
Now, what are some of the ways that a 209A or restraining order can affect someone? How is their due process violated?
When a false accusation is made under with a motion, okay, a judge usually will grant it. Just go in and they grant them, okay? Like I said, in the Joint Judiciary Committee, it was said they're given out like candy, okay? We have the highest rate in the country of these things, anywhere else in the country. How does it affect a man? I mean, in shock, a guy comes home from work and he's given something and he's got to go and he's got to make a decision. He's got to make all kinds of decisions, and he doesn't get to see his children. How does it affect them? It destroys them, and it's destroying the American family.
It does, and I understand that once these restraining orders are issued, a party is removed from the house, whether it's a man or a female. They're removed from the house for a particular amount of time, usually 10 days, a cool-off period. Then they have a hearing within that time frame, and that order could be extended. So a person can actually be removed from the house for 10 days, go back in front of the court, and then be removed for another year.
You know how you can determine in family court what is true versus what is not true. I don't think that it's even being looked at. It's not even something that's being considered, that, oh no, we need to have more truth in family court. We want truth in the American banking system. We want truth in American business and American advertising. We've got to have all kinds of truth come out, but when it comes to the dissolution of the American family, it's predetermined, okay? It's already going to happen, and we're going to set this profession up to benefit from it. It's not the children, it's not the family, it's this profession that is going to benefit from it. And that's all that benefits from it.
And of course, you stated that at Beacon Hill we have legislators who are actually serving two branches of government. You have attorneys serving in the legislatures, passing these particular bills.
You know, you have three attorneys. You had three attorneys that were running the Joint Judiciary Committee. You had Cynthia Cream, you had Jim O'Flaherty, and you had Jim Fagan and John O'Flaherty. And Jim Fagan was defeated. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's one attorney that is one less obstacle. Okay, one less person to convince. They are not looking at men as anything other than just angry people. You betcha we're angry. You betcha that men are angry when they're thrown out of their homes under false pretenses. Everything that they've worked for in life is removed from their possession, especially above all anything else, their children. And when nobody goes into a marriage and nobody has children under the belief that, or the thought, or the hope that they're never going to see them again, okay, that they're going to have them taken away at some point in time. Nobody does. Yet, we're all talking about, and this Jane Doe organization included, they're only talking about how to dissolve marriages. They're only talking and predicated on violence. Oh no, we got to do this because there's violence involved. Okay, any of these men's groups, the worst thing that we see is somebody that comes in and you can spot him a mile away. The individual that has beaten his wife or he's been sarcastic to his wife. You don't want them coming back ever again. You don't want to see them ever again. Go get help. Yeah, Jane Doe maybe is the organization right now to get help. If they do come back, it's required. You need to talk to us about some of the things that's been going on in your life so that you can get it straightened out, so that you can get back to your children, so that you can get back to visitation.
Well, let me just say that, I have a simple solution that maybe will solve the problem. Maybe the state might want to look into creating a term limits on marriage certificates. But we'll carry that on another subject, and it'd be an interesting idea. It will cut down on the divorce rates, and basically you walk in with what you walk out with what you walked in with. Okay, so rather than you get divorced and you lose everything at this point. But I want to thank you for coming in. If anybody wanted to reach out to you or have any concerns in regards to this particular issue, what do they need to do?
Well, they're welcome to call me at my home number. It's 508-695-6503. I'm on the internet. It's James_Lang@Verizon.net. And you're welcome to contact me.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come in and speak with us. And you've been watching Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Hector Montalvo. Join us next time as we go behind the scenes to ask the tough questions, bring you their responses, and we let you decide. Thank you for watching.